At a quick glance, this may look like a 1980s cassette deck, but look a bit closer and you'll see it also has a radio tuning dial and a volume control. That's because it's not just a cassette deck, it's a stereo cassette receiver, better known as a Casseaver. The first Casseaver was introduced by H. Scott in October 1968. They explained the newly coined word to the public by writing, "What's a Casseaver? Just a quicker way of saying cassette/receiver." And H. Scott actually filed a registered trademark for the word Casseaver, which was in effect from 1971 until it expired in 1992. And in their ads, they had a list of recommended uses for a Casseaver, including listening to the radio, playing pre-recorded music cassettes, making your own recordings from microphones, copying vinyl records to cassette, copying what they called ordinary tapes from a reel-to-reel machine to cassette, and recording from the radio. And you can do all of those same things with the Realistic SCR 2500 Casseaver, even though it's about 2 decades newer. It was introduced by Radio Shack on October 30th, 1983 as their low-cost compact stereo cassette/receiver. In the description they wrote, "What a combination! 2 of the most wanted stereo components at a price that's less than you might pay for a receiver or cassette deck alone. Perfect for a small apartment, dorm, or den. Anywhere you want true hi-fi stereo in a limited space." Then they go through a long list of features and close out the sales pitch by writing, "Come in today and get the best of both worlds at one down-to-earth price," which was $199.95. Or you could get it bundled with a pair of Realistic Minima 7 speakers for $269, or the speakers and a Lab 75 belt drive automatic record changer for $359. A year later, those combo deals were upgraded with larger Minimus 25 speakers and a new selection of turntables. In July 1986, the Casseaver combo deal switched back to the Minimus 7 speakers and a Lab 85 record changer for $299. And the final closeout sale was in March 1987 when the SCR 2500 alone was $149.95 and bundled with MC 1800 speakers and a Lab 330 automatic turntable, it cost $319. The SCR 2500's front panel is packed with features including a power button, a 1/4-inch headphone jack, of course the cassette deck mechanism itself with soft touch buttons, and soft eject. Other cassette-related features include a selector switch for using normal, chrome, and metal tapes, manual left and right recording level controls, an LED level meter for recording and playback, a red LED to indicate when it is recording, a tape counter and reset button, and Dolby B noise reduction. And moving over to the EVER part of the Casseaver, it has selector buttons for an aux/TV line level input, a magnetic phono input, AM radio, and FM radio. There's the main volume control and the tuning dial with the lighted pointer and LED tuning and FM stereo indicators. Then you get controls for bass, treble, and balance, a mono button that works in all modes, not just FM radio, a loudness contour button, which in this case is missing its little cap but still works, and left and right stereo microphone inputs. The front panel and knobs may look like aluminum and chrome, but they're actually just painted plastic, but the main cabinet is made of metal. Around the back it has RCA jacks for the aux/TV input and phono input with an associated ground terminal, and terminals for external FM and AM radio antennas, and a clip on the power cord allowing you to use it as an FM antenna. It also has a built-in AM antenna and a beat canceller switch to reduce interference when recording from AM radio. Here are the spring terminals for left and right speakers, which can be 8 or 16 ohms. There's the power cord, an unswitched accessory outlet, and a fuse. According to the information printed on the back, it's the trade name Realistic SCR 2500, model number 31-1995, AM/FM stereo receiver / cassette recorder, custom manufactured in Korea for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corporation, Fort Worth, Texas. Just like the rear panel, the bottom panel was also made of masonite, and according to this sticker, which says 8A5, this one was manufactured in August 1985. I'll be using it with these RCA bookshelf speakers, which were sold by Radio Shack in the early 2000s and are rated at 40 watts per channel RMS, well above the 7 watts per channel that the Cassever puts out.
Smooth jazz, 24/7.
I'll start out with the FM radio tuner, just using the power cord as an antenna. I don't know what kind of music that is, or if that's just car horns.
Reggie, it's hot.
I do have the loudness turned on. I was able to poke the switch with a screwdriver, but the bass and treble are both centered. You may notice these tuning indicators. The red arrows come on when you're not directly tuned into a station, and the green bar in the middle indicates when you are correctly tuned to a station, and then above it is the FM stereo indicator. So it's picking up plenty of stations just using the power cord as an antenna. So very good reception and sound quality on FM. And if you do have a weaker station and you want to reduce the hiss, you can just switch it into mono mode. Now here's the AM tuner, and yes, the tuning indicator lights also work on AM, although obviously the stereo indicator is not going to illuminate. This does not have AM stereo. Be nice if it did, but unfortunately it does not. See there, the green indicator lit up when I tuned in the station.
Program broadcasting. We're doing the Fox Patriot Award.
Think their kids will be safe, are going to be well educated, and they're drawing their kids out.
And the other thing too, guys, and I saw this today.
But something was up in certain games. You saw it, whether it was Towns.
I love you, and oh.
Sounds pretty good on AM. And yes, we do have AM stations playing music. So also a pretty good AM tuner on this. I have this Silver Technics CD player from 1985 that would make a nice matching system with the Cassever. It even has a remote control, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So this considerably cheaper but still good sounding 1988 York's front-loading CD player will have to suffice for demonstrating the Cassever's aux input. Here's a sample of adjusting the bass, treble, and balance. So they have a pretty broad range of adjustment. But to demonstrate the phono input, I do have a matching Realistic Lab 89 automatic belt drive record changer, which is almost identical to the Lab 85 model that the Cassever was originally bundled with. thing about this Cassever is it's so shallow that any normal turntable you try to put on top of it is just going to hang off the edge. So you would need to put it in some kind of cabinet or shelf system to properly support the turntable. In my case, I'm just propping it up with a CD. And as for the CAS part of the Cassever, which I'm sure is what you all came here to see, I'm glad to report it's working fine. No repairs were needed. All I've done so far is give it a cleaning.
The telephone. It's the world's most powerful communications tool. And yet, wasted time, miscommunication, emotional stress, and poor manners characterize most phone encounters in business.
With the soft touch buttons, the mechanism does the work of smoothly raising the heads into position, not the force of my finger pushing the button. And when I press pause, you can see it retracts the heads away from the tape. And there I resume playback. And yes, the automatic stop works in all modes, including rewind and fast forward. And now for a recording test, I'll use Radio Shack's own Realistic Super Tape Chrome High Definition, which I believe was made for them by Denon. So I'll move the switch to the Chrome position, and I will enable Dolby Noise Reduction.
You'll never know how good it can be till you try. So be dreamy and come see me tonight.
Inside, the main circuit board has the electronics for the cassette recorder and radio tuner on it. There you can see the tuning capacitor and the internal AM antenna. There's another little circuit board at the back with the phono preamp on it, and another one at the front with the switches and volume control on it. And I noticed the circuit boards all have the Realistic logo on it, so this was probably a custom design for Radio Shack. And over in this corner is the cassette mechanism, a circuit board with the power supply and amplifier on it, and the main power transformer, which is mounted at an angle to reduce hum. The cassette motor was made by Mabuchi, and it has a nice large metal flywheel. And the belts are still in fine shape, no need to replace them. So although they've never really had much audiophile cred, I think a Cassever is a perfectly acceptable solution for people who want three popular audio components, an amplifier, a radio tuner, and a cassette deck, all in a cabinet no larger than the size of just one of them.